What's going on, everybody? This is Shane Willis, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode of 5 Minutes in Real Estate. And as we started yesterday, we're actually starting to do this live now every day. So today's actually going to be pretty quick. We'll switch the screen around here. Today, I'm going to be discussing some of the benefits of growing equity in your home. Um, it's actually there's a couple slides here that I may elaborate on just a little bit. So first, as we grow equity, I want to give you a national average. This national average says in the first quarter of 2019, the average homeowner gained approximately $6,400 in equity during the past year. So you've actually gained about $6,400. I've had some conversations lately with some customers about how they didn't realize they had gained as much as they did in equity. And there are certain price points that are that way. If you watch the How's the Market Pensacola, you understand that there are certain price points that are actually still gaining equity and that are hyper hot, a hyper seller's market. But there are some that have stagnated. But this is the average, and this is across the country. So I wanted to kind of show that to you the show. Here's something else too that this kind of blew me away. There was a study done. It said I look at the national numbers showed that people who sold in the second quarter of 2019 realized on average $67,500. Now, I know that some people are going to come on the show going, well, if I got $67,500, then I'm going to have to pay taxes on that. And I don't want to pay taxes. Well, first of all, no, if it's your home to the last 5 years, you shouldn't. There should be an exemption. I'm not an accountant. Go consult with your accountant. But there is an exemption on that. So no, probably not. And if it's not your home and you saw the $67,500, well, then we need to talk about a 1031 exchange. I actually looked at selling a property I had this year, and the taxable event, because I've depreciated it so long, would have cost me a little more. So my accountant actually told me, let's hold that one because it's cash flowing enough right now. It's covering itself, plus making a little bit of a profit. So we're going to hold that right now as a tax play. But the gain in seller's profit, 67,500 in 2009, that represented an average of a 33.9% return. Now, if people are actually holding their property somewhere between 5 and 8 years, 33%, you do the math. That's not bad. And that's just appreciation. It has nothing to do with it, especially if you get an investment property. Cash flow, which is king on investments. This one I wanted to talk about a minute because I was actually shocked yesterday. Most people are out of a negative equity situation. All right. That was what we fought in 2012, 2013, where you owed 200,000, it was only worth 150. You owed 300, it was worth 195, 175. Let me read the statistics. It says U.S. homeowners with mortgages, roughly 63% of all properties, so only 37% are actually paid off, have seen equity increases by a total of nearly $485.7 billion since the first quarter of 2018. In the first quarter of 2019, the total number of mortgage residential properties with negative equity decreased to 2.2 million homes, or 4.1% of all mortgage properties. Like I said yesterday, I actually had it was weird. I haven't seen a distressed property. I had one I closed earlier this year, but we actually started on that one Halloween of 17, and we closed it March or April of this year. So that was a distress. It was a short sale, and there was a whole case. There was a divorce and attorneys and multiple lenders, and it was just crazy. But yesterday, I actually had a bank reach out to me and said, "Hey, we've got a property we need to liquidate." So they had actually finished the foreclosure. And then I had another customer that I met that needs to do a short sale, and it's a little bit tougher. That particular file is tougher, and he said that he had got referred to me after talking to 3 or 4 or 5 other agents, and nobody wanted to take on his file because it's tougher. That actually kind of made my heart break a little because the guy's a veteran. All right, so I'm trying to take care of him there. On top of that, yes, it's a hard case, but it doesn't mean that it's not doable. It just means it's going to be a little more difficult, and that makes me a little upset about some of the. He didn't tell me who he called, so I'm not going to call any one particular person out. But maybe we've gotten so easy that all we want is the quick dollar. All we want is that quick VA loan that'll close like that, and make the quick dollar instead of actually servicing some of the clients. So that made me a little upset. Yes, it's going to take longer. Yes, I will not get paid as much. If I looked at my per hour pay, But boy, this is all this whole career is a lot more than money. And this person's in pain. It's hurting. All right. I'm not going to go into his whole issue, but there's a lot of pain there. And it's going to be a difficult case. But for the most part, let me pull out of that for a second. For the most part, most homes are out of a negative equity situation. There's not as many that are in there anymore. So here's the bottom line for today's episode. You may have more equity than you think you do. I have had that conversation more times in the last 3 weeks than I can count. I get 2 hands here. I could even take my flip-flops off and start talking on my toes, and I'd still count more than that. You could have a lot more equity than you thought. So there could be some ways to utilize that. Does that always necessarily mean sale? No. Maybe we need to talk about a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, so that you can use some of that equity to actually pick up another property or pick up something different or consolidate a loan and do a refinance. There's all kinds of options, but you may have a lot more equity than you thought. So if you're considering doing anything with it, or if you want to talk about unlocking that particular amount of equity from your home, reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me a message here on Facebook, or if you're listening to this as a podcast, get over to the Facebook page, shoot me a message. My email is pretty much everywhere too, so you can get that. All right, that's all I have for you today. As always, if you've not subscribed, you get the tips, tricks, graphs, infographics, go over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. And like I said, the Facebook page. I'm doing this live on Facebook now, so if you're listening to this on Stitcher or SoundCloud or iTunes, and you want to see some of these slides that I put up with this, get over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Shane Willis, the Realtor. And finally, I always ask this at the end of every show, if this brought any value to you at all, do me a favor, like, comment, and then share on it. That'll really help me out. Thank you guys for watching. Have a